you're gone, and I know it's gonna rain in Nashville tonight.
Right, it's O'Reilly Country, and as we like to do each and every week is just flick our way through our collection, see what's about there, see what's new. We always look at the old stuff. We definitely get our heads around the new stuff. And well, as if by magic, something pointed me in this fella's direction a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know how late to the party I am on the works of Malcolm MacWatt, who joins me on the phone. Evening.
Hello, hi, good to hear from you.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you. Thanks for taking the time to chat to us, and we'll talk about your music.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, time I have at the moment.
Yes, a lot of people have. Now what can I do now? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Shall we start with that first then? Because that's
okay,
what you're doing. What most people are doing, just watching the world go by, thinking, hang on, maybe the norm will come back soon. But what goes for you during this situation we find ourselves in at the moment?
I think, well, for me, definitely. I think the initial shock, as speaking purely from a musician's point of view, the initial shock of seeing every gig that I'd had just disappear before my eyes. I play a lot live, so the thought of not being able to go out and play was a real kind of really shocking. But for me, I'm lucky in the sense that I've got my own recording equipment at home, so you've been busy with that sort of thing. Yeah, I have been. I've recorded 3 new songs. I recorded them at home, but I've actually next week they're getting mastered. Strangely enough and bizarrely enough, we're going to be doing the mastering over Skype, which is a kind of a new one for me, and at the same, so it's going to be difficult because I won't be able to be sitting in the control room where I usually sit with the guy that does all my recording. So I'll be sitting at home. He'll be mixing and mastering from his studio. And it's only 20 miles away, but it's we're different. Won't be in the same room. No. And so that'll be a pretty unusual experience, but at the end of the day, I think I've got quite a good relationship with the chap that produces my music. So you still be able to, I'll trust him. Tap him on the shoulder and say, "Well, no, hang on a minute, just change that bit there, or just move something." Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the actual sort of subtleties, I probably won't hear them over the internet. Living in London, I haven't had the best internet connection. Everybody, on the internet at the same time is, buckling under pressure. I mean, I have enjoyed doing a few of these kind of live stream events, but at the same time, it's really frustrating, having such an awful sound. Yeah. So that's kind of been a bit frustrating. So yeah, in one respect, the sort of lockdown, it's really focused me. Back into my songs and back into. I think what I've done as well is it's focused me on practicing, because I play a lot of instruments and going out live and playing so much. It tends to just be in my guitar. So I've had a chance to sort of work on my. So what my banjo playing and my dobro playing. So they've been your weapons of choice during the lockdown. These different instruments coming out and just homing your skills a little bit more for when the doors are finally flung open again. Yeah, for sure. It's like it's been really good fun getting my fiddle out. I hadn't played fiddle for I don't think I picked it up for about a year, and so playing away the fiddle again, I thought, I'd like to put this on the new EP that I've just, that I've just recorded. So I've and even in that time, I've never been good with any other instruments apart from things with strings I get on with. But I sort of taught myself how to play the bowron, the sort of Celtic drum.
Gotcha.
So I've used that too on this EP that's coming. So it's been for me, it's been quite, I mean, I know the whole situation's been a absolute tragedy and a disaster for the country and that. But speaking from a personal point of view, there's been some silver linings in it. For me, it's given me time to focus on music.
So when we finally do get out and see some more live music, we'll see you strolling around with a few more flight cases as you carry extra instruments to the gig.
To be honest, probably not. I think definitely playing in London. The biggest problem for me is always travel.
Yeah.
It's there's. I mean, so many places, most of the venues don't have a car park. They don't have anywhere to park a car outside. So it's usually public transport. So
gotcha.
just me and just me and a little guitar.
Your trusty guitar seeing you through. But when the album stuff and the single stuff comes together, and then you don't need to share the profits because you'll be able to do the instruments yourself.
I suppose it's kind of one benefit. I mean, what I did really enjoy was just before lockdown, I had a gig with a really great girl called Louise Parker, and she's part of the Bells and Gals sort of scene.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
So in London, it was she'd asked me if I'd play banjo for her, and which I did. It was my first sort of, my first gig as a banjo player. And out of that night, which I really enjoyed, I met a bunch of people who'd also asked, would I consider playing banjo or dobro or fiddle or all three for them, anytime they were coming to London. So, which I absolutely jumped at the chance at because I don't get a chance to play these instruments much. I'm hoping as once we get back to playing live, I can get back to playing live as myself, just me and my guitar, or me and I'm lucky enough to have a bunch of guys who are more than willing to sort of come out and back me for material off the album.
I got you. Yeah.
So the album is a full band thing.
Yeah.
But so that's great, and then I can also get a chance to go out and play for other people and just play, just enjoy myself playing the fiddle or playing the dobro, which I love doing.
With the like if you're doing live stuff like on your own, just the guitar, it's just you got to worry about on stage, and when you're working with the band on the album stuff, and then it's you still worrying about the sound that you're creating, but having to keep an ear on what the other fellas are up to as well, because it's your name on the product at the end. Is that a difficult task for you?
Well, to be honest, playing live, I think is completely different because I just trust the people that I work with. I know they're good musicians. I just know they'll do a good job. And and you know what, if mistakes happen in live music, and sometimes some really great ideas can come out of mistakes. So I just go with the flow. When it comes to that sort of stuff. When it comes to recording my music, I'll do it. I tend to do it all myself. When I did the album, it was, even though there's a full band on it, it's actually only two people playing every instrument on it. So it's myself and the producer Phil Deering, who is also another multi-instrumentalist. But he's got he's a great guitarist and a fantastic keyboard player, bassist, drummer. There are some really talented people, and so I'm always happy to utilize other people's talents, to their best. So yeah.
So how did you come in, or if you fell into the game, or that was a plan that you wanted music wise, thinking, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this to keep the wolf from the door. This is how I'm going to make my my living. How did that come about? That that direction.
I think I mean, I've always been a musician. I came, so but music's never been, up until very recently. It was never something I'd even considered sort of doing full time. It was I worked in the North Sea, in the oil rigs for many years because it's just a job that everyone I knew sort of does, or and still does. Both. I've got family that still work offshore. I've got most of my friends still work offshore. So it's but then when I moved down to London, I actually came down to study guitar making. So I did 3 years of lutherie, is what we call ourselves as guitar makers, luthiers. And I was specialising in a particular type of guitar, a Selmer Macaferri, which is sort of used by a chap called Django Reinhardt. So I played a lot of gypsy jazz, and through that I kind of met a guy who was playing a lot of bluegrass in his jazz, which which sort of reminded me how much I'd loved that music before, So I kind of slowly got myself sort of back into, and I ended up back into music and on the kind of in the country scene, because that scene's very receptive to new music, and as I've always written songs, but never really seriously. So it's only it's been in the last few years, and I kind of got into it, and very lucky to have had some some very kind of gratifying reviews, and
there was one review, wasn't there? I can't remember, some Americana with a dust in a bluegrass, which I thought was a pretty a pretty fair way up of the sound that you're producing.
Yeah, I think my whole thing is that I'm definitely I find that I tend to listen, when it comes to the country side of music, I tend to listen to stuff that would be called more the roots into it, So not necessarily bluegrass, but definitely old time American folk. I can play bluegrass, but I'll be honest, you need to be absolutely on top of your game to be a good bluegrass player. I just can't play that fast. It's there's so much musicianship involved in bluegrass. But what I loved about country, it's the story element to songs, and that I think I think I've always had a hankering to write stories, and so that story element is really what attracted me into the country music. I think just talking about people's lives, and I mean mostly my life, to be honest. But it's that that kind of got me into, I think that's what took me into music, and I'm really lucky that I've got a very understanding wife who's like because trying to be a full-time musician in this day and age, it's
it's difficult enough without the current situation that's that's going on.
Yeah, I think it's also just the way music consumption has changed. I think the value, maybe the value of music of the perhaps when you've got huge artists like U2 or Radiohead kind of giving their music away for free. But these guys were able to make up that loss through live.
Yeah.
Playing stadiums and stuff. You can make all your music live. So I mean, I suppose maybe one good thing that's really kind of happened out of this whole virus thing is that all of a sudden now, Bruce Springsteen and I are on the same. We're in the same boat. We're not getting any gigs. But he's got, and maybe that might make I suppose the record industry have to review how much I mean, for every 1,000, for every 1,000 streams on Spotify, I make £3.
Right,
and,
gotcha.
and you think, well, you're never going to make a living out of that. It's yeah, I mean, I'm kind of lucky in the sense that I get a lot of support in terms of CD sales and other forms of digital platforms, and I suppose PRS or royalties and things.
So with the gigs and that, so you would sell like your CDs at gigs. Do you go as far as having some some merchandise as well, just to bolster the wedge?
I haven't quite got down that road yet of of thinking that somebody might want to put my name on, sort of wear it on their chest. I don't know if I'm kind of, I suppose there's part of me still. I think because I've only really been doing this full time, and for the last 18 months. I mean, my first album I put out 18 months ago. I mean, this is my third album I've done.
Right.
So it's like it all still feels a bit new, and I'm still kind of bowled away. I'm still bowled away when people like yourselves, are playing my music, that publicly. I still get a huge thrill out of that. In fact, I don't think that'll ever stop. It's a funny old kind of game.
One T-shirt, £25. You've got to get a lot of Spotify streams to muster up £25. Eh?
That's true. Yeah. It's true. So I mean, I think maybe that's something that I'll have to look at. I mean, it's the more you get on. I mean, I sell my CDs for a £5, and I'm always absolutely grateful when when somebody tells me, look, I'll give you a tenner for it. It's like and I think to myself, well, yeah, it's worth it's worth £10. I mean, I put so much sweat, blood, and tears into your music, and but I think you have to be realistic at how music is consumed, and it's definitely changed. It's a different way. I mean, I think probably the one thing with this virus is, I feel radio has actually had a little bit of a renaissance, especially the shows where you actually have a presenter talking.
Oh yes, there's plenty of stations out there. Just click play and shuffle on their machines, and music comes out. But I'm not saying that we are the be all and end all of country music here at O'Reilly Country. But we try and do our little bit each week to shine a light on some artists like yourselves.
Yeah, but and I think the thing, for an artist like me, who's still relatively unknown. I mean, I'm making a few little ripples, but I couldn't say I wouldn't say I'm making waves quite yet. It's like, I see a direct correlation between my Spotify plays after radio shows. So
Gotcha.
So I really, as an artist, I really appreciate every single player that I get, online, but especially more so from shows where I feel you can get a connection. I suppose it's the human element. It's definitely, I definitely gravitate towards the shows that I've got, a presenter, giving their opinions, whether I agree with them or not. At the end of the day, I think it's. I think artists are as much music fans as presenters, and I hesitate to call. I think I called one radio presenter a jock, and he was he wasn't happy with that. I just like that. I like that human side. It's just great to hear other people's opinions, and I think, as we said, I think I mentioned to you earlier, it's great to hear. I mean, I've listened to your show, and I've heard music that I've thought, wow, that is fantastic. Who is that? And and I go and check. I go and check them out. I go and find sort of new artists. From other people's, I suppose, playlists. So, yeah, it's good.
Good one. So, talking of music, your EP, the newest EP, that's what was it?
Mm-hmm.
Was it April and May it came out?
Yeah, it came out in May. No, it came out in April.
April
the 4th, actually. Yeah.
Time's just blurring all into one.
Yeah, it does.
Hearts and Horizons, which we've been playing a few tracks from there. Raining in Nashville, was it that?
Raining down in Nashville. Yeah, that was I've had such a phenomenal response to that song, and it's just one of these ones that just, I don't know, it's had in so many countries. It's the most. I mean, it's already had over 2,000 plays on Spotify in such a short space of time. So for me, for someone who's unknown, it's great to see people responding to certain songs. And that's definitely one of them that's just had the whole EP actually has had. It's had amazing reviews. I've just been blown away by how well it's been received. Once again, I think it's my own take on country. I mean, I've probably been the country I kind of grew up with, I suppose, was stuff that at the time would probably have been, I think the old country, diehards would probably have questioned an awful lot of the stuff that Glenn Campbell was doing, really saying, is this country? But I loved those as an artist. I love those productions behind all the Glenn Campbells.
See, the thing is, it's much the same now with the the new country music. People think, well, hang on, that's a long way from country. Well, it may be a long way from country, but it's their interpretation of country music. That's
I mean, that's my thing. I mean, I just don't. I don't get involved with what is real country and what is not real country. It's all real to somebody, and it's and there's some great music sort of coming out of it, out of both camps. I mean, from a personal point of view, I tend to gravitate, towards the older country, but that's only because my ear is just more tuned into that. Yeah. Tuned into that stuff. But I was a huge Don Williams fan. Oh, yeah. Even as a kid, and because at that time you had people like Billy Joe Spears, Don Williams. They were regulars on top of the pops. It's like country music seemed to be a lot more mainstream. Sort of back in my early, very early youth, and so I just got influenced by that side of it, and I loved the production. To go back to Glenn Campbell, I loved all the strings and these lush productions that they had on shows. And there might not have been a big, they weren't necessarily sort of playing pedal steels and stuff. I don't really recall much banjo on Glenn Campbell's material, but there's that element of a great song. And and a nice production and a good story, and so I think when it came to Hearts and Horizons, I wanted, I desperately wanted to do something that was unmistakably country. And I think as soon as you put a banjo and a dobro and a pedal steel into something, you can't say it's not country. But at the same time, I didn't want it. I just wanted my own version of country, and I wanted strings, and I wanted piano, and I wanted those kind of lush instrumentation on it at the same time, because it kind of reminded me of I suppose of the country that I like. So
and certainly hit the nail on the head, music wise. Like I say, we're really enjoying that Hearts and Horizon
thank you.
EP here at OReilly Country. Malcolm, I'm going to let you get on. No doubt you've got a few things to finish off when we eventually get out and get back to normal business. And well, if you be so bold, and when we are back to normal business, there'll be a glass of sweet tea waiting for you in the OReilly Country Studios, and you can bring your guitar down here, and we can chew the fat, and you can play some songs, and I can sit back and listen and record them.
It would be an absolute pleasure, Brian. Yeah,
Marvellous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Malcolm. We'll stick your song on now. Any particular one from your EP that tickled your fancy? Which one do you want?
I think "Lie for Your Love." I did a a vocal with a girl, a singer-songwriter here she's just fantastic. She's called Claire Portman, and on this song, I think our voices just worked really well. I mean, there's a new tendency for some of these sort of new country sort of duets. This wasn't quite a duet, but her voice just shines through on this song, and I think it really made the song happen for me. So yeah, "Lie for Your Love" would be very nice.
I shall stick that on right now. Malcolm, many thanks for your time, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Turn
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
your eyes away from me, baby.